I have a big backyard for my giraffes.
So we are now recording October 2nd, Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We're as punch happy as ever. And Brandon does not want any drafts in his house.
No
We've determined that.
No drafts.
No drafts.
No drafts. That looks like a great background. Where are you, Brandon?
I'm in my basement.
Reese.
What? That looks really good. That's a first. Usually,
I am showing off my new camera.
Nice.
That's a background.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the other thing is,
you were actually able to score one. They
Which
are
one is-
in
oh, yeah.
these.
They're selling out because all the kids need them.
Right. Which
I'm
brings
not
us
about the kids.
You know, Brandon, you must have a
Which one I
handsome filter on that camera because you're looking pretty sexy today, buddy.
I'm
he
liking the
looks
beard.
like somebody did his hair and his beard, and he's going dancing tonight or something.
Dancing. That's what I do.
Well, I was able to get a Logitech Brio 4K camera in like a 2-day window when they were available a couple weeks ago.
Wow, you must have just been lucky and got it at the right time.
Bought stock in Logitech. Man.
I was on a waiting list for 6 months before I got this camera.
Wow.
And I was going to order a second one like a day later, gone.
Wow.
Well, at least after you ordered them, they didn't take away your order like your computer people did.
We finally got our computers. They were delivered by FedEx, and FedEx doesn't knock, so we found them somewhere on the side of the house.
Yeah, they could leave them anywhere.
No.
At least you got them near.
Well, they were originally delivered in one box, and we found part of that outside box and the 2 computer boxes. Our dog found them and rearranged.
Use your dog to move computers.
Yeah, that's an amazing
give
dog.
that dog a
Open
job.
boxes for you.
I don't
and
know, like
everything.
40 pounds.
So this intro is a great way to segue into kind of the question of the day, right? Of
Yes.
working environments since we're
Working environments, pre-COVID, current COVID, and what do you think will happen in the future? So I want to start out with Sarah's husband who coined the remark. I don't know if he was repeating it, but all introverts have been practicing all their life for this.
Right. Well, there was a meme going around, but there was a T-shirt. Well, he's on his way. What was the T-shirt about the? I knew as soon as I tried to remember, I'd forget.
Okay, we'll ask of Lenny Combs. So for me, it hasn't been much of a difference pre and current. We've been working virtually and I've been working towards this for many, many years. And it was like, I'm talking to my friends and they're like, I can't do this, I can't do it. And I'm like, what do you need? Let me help you.
The T-shirt was something like, I don't feel like peopling today.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I actually do still go to some of my clients' locations. That seems to make them feel pretty good. And I must say that the difference between when it first started and now, I do a lot more remote. I usually do a first appointment with them in person because I get to see where they're working in their, their environment and everything. But I think I've noticed that over time, people have gotten a little bit more serious about it, saying like, oh yeah, we probably should wear masks because we're inside. So like today when I was with people, the other day we didn't wear any masks, and they did have the liquid for me to put on my hands. So although I do shake hands with people, and then I went like, oh, do you have any of that liquid? I'm sorry, I sneezed and I think some of it went on my hand. Like, So, it's like I got some nice cloth masks that are fairly easy to breathe through. So I've worn one of them for as long as an hour and a half at a time, which isn't too bad really if you're not exercising heavily. So I have the feeling it's going to go for a while. I did finally move my airplane reservation from going to Ontario to Orlando. I'm now going to Ontario to Vegas and back. and I'll be doing the remote scaling new heights. So
Oh,
It's changed your plans and
my main reason is that conference, I was going to go for a whole week, and that's a long time. When I'm going to Vegas, I'm going Thursday night and coming back Sunday afternoon. So that's much shorter. And I think given my age, my elderly age, that I should be careful. Now, I know I don't look it, but I'm 75. And so I'm right there square in the middle of the be careful.
the critical age, right?
I'm about
danger zone.
So, yeah, I think if I got it, I probably would have no symptoms, but I'm interested. I just watch and absorb and listen and look and.
Well, now that winter is coming, I'm digging on the gaiters, and I'm also thinking that I like scarves because you can do the same thing.
That's true.
Somebody mentioned gators.
Yeah,
It's
Think of all the branding opportunities for all the massive creators. I just miss my employees.
Me too.
I have mine at my house.
I
So
did,
you have
but
people coming into your house. We
I
lost
saw
her.
my first client yesterday.
I was
Oh shoot, Mark just walked in.
trying to show my employee workstation.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That does not
Actually,
look
I
like a
already told
doghouse,
her.
Shannon.
I already told her.
What?
Your employees, you mean your dogs?
I have 2 employees that work here. One of them is my husband, and so he's unpaid, but the other one actually gets paid.
Using your dogs to move around your computer equipment.
Well, he was just trying to set it up.
He's trying to help, huh?
Well, I just really don't like that FedEx doesn't knock.
No, ours doesn't. But ours is getting worse. They're
Had a
leaving
successful-
boxes like 400 feet from the house. Seriously.
I have not had a successful,
400 feet from the house. I'm like, seriously?
Well, I've got a drop box right underneath my mailbox for packages, so we don't get any porch pirates.
Mm.
The USPS, UPS, FedEx, nobody knows how to use it. This camera, they laid the box right in front of the door. I did catch somebody on my Ring, and the post office guy, he had 2 packages. So I jumped on my phone from Florida yesterday, 2 days ago, and said, dude, drop it in the box and shut the door. It's not hard. He said, well, you've got 2 packages. I said, put them both in there. It's okay.
I always tell the postman to only put 1 envelope also. Like.
one envelope a day is your maximum. That's all you get right now.
Quit delivering stuff from the IRS and they still come.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's interesting. I have a storm door, which is like a heavy duty screen door. But that's outside. And then inside I have a wood door. What I've started to do now is I put a sign on the outside door saying, delivery person, open this door and read the sign on the inside door.
You're asking.
And they open the door and they read the sign and it says, the door is unlocked. Open the door and put the package inside the house and shut the door. And they're doing it now. And it's like
Wow.
Yeah, but all the
amazing.
porch pirate has to do is know that.
When the crooks
Oh.
Except that where I live, I'm in a 4-unit apartment building that faces another
It's not like
4-unit
you're just
apartment building.
out in the open.
No, because because those 4 apartments are watching the front of my apartment, just like I'm watching the front of theirs. And nobody's going to come in. They're going to go to the houses that are along the street. They're not going to walk in to an apartment
Well,
porch.
I have and they don't make it anymore. This is the second one I've owned, so I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's a big mailbox with the slot in the top so they can shove in an envelopes or whatever in the top. But if they need to open it, they pull it down and there's a keypad. And so I gave my clients the number and they'd open it. It's like a safe. It's a big, heavy, it's a huge box. And then they can put things inside and lock it. And they don't make it anymore. So, but I really don't have clients coming out here anymore. I've got one, or I guess there's 2 that I just learned about that actually drops off work.
I fixed it.
And yes, you did fix it. And so I do have one employee that's actually swinging by here getting the work, and she's going back. And then the employee that I have that's now an hour away, they've got a thing going where Angela will scan the mail for Karen. They worked it out. And these are the clients that have been doing it. They're, they live up the street. They like to drop off the work. They don't have it. They don't want to scan. They don't want to take pictures. And so, you know what? You just don't rock the boat. It works. But everybody else, we have scanning and uploading or forwarding emails. So my biggest thing now is since March, we've really been paperless. I mean, everything is scanned. And before we were like quasi. So the problem with me being still in the office is I'm not as diligent about scanning, because I can still go into the file room or in the drawer. So I'm the one that's not being as disciplined, because it is a discipline.
It is a discipline, and you have to have a really good system.
Well, you have to.
Also.
Too easy to have so much work to do, and you do everything you have to do, and you go, I'll scan this later.
You're the
That's what
owner.
I'm teaching. That's what I'm teaching my employees, and somebody needs to slap me. Is just go. Part of the job is scanning. So even in ClickUp, where we have all the tasks broken out, scanning is actually, scanning today's work or whatever is a separate task, because it will screw up their percentages complete if it didn't finish. See, I did that on purpose.
Right.
Now they're starting to see, percentage of completion for weekly, monthly, and,
Right.
Nice.
and you don't like those percentages. Go on.
I was just going to jump right in here. Were you on Woodard this morning, and did you see Rob? Our OneNote guy?
Meeting about, so was he talking about OneNote or?
Oh,
He was.
my God, yeah, he did a great. He did a great.
He
session
did an
on,
amazing, you'll have to watch the
OneNote
recording.
and how you could organize your entire Scaling New Heights conference, and so go back and watch it. It's
I'll go back
actually-
and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Joe said, if I wanted to, I could ask Rob to give me my 2016 keynote out at, he was in the Bahamas or somewhere, the Virgin Islands somewhere.
Yeah, Atlantis, and he went and searched and
and
found it like
He
that.
found it like in less than 30 seconds and posted it. I mean, it was like,
I know. I go to.
and I
search
just thought,
OneNote.
Sarah.
Like I was working on a client, and we got there 2020 back in January, I believe I bought it. And we or February. And then when I went to then COVID hit. Anyway, everything sort of blew up, and we just tabled it. It's like, we'll get your 2020 loaded whenever. And so this week I was like, trying to get off these old to-dos. Let's get you installed. And I hopped over to OneNote to get their license number and everything. There's nothing there. And that's when I realized that I got really heavy into OneNote after March 15th.
Ah.
I tell you what, I am so spoiled to be able to go right someplace and just search, and it doesn't even matter where it is. And I was irritated that it wasn't there, and I had to hunt my email. Actually, I had to go find the paper file. Figure out the date. But yeah, and that was just as a side note, I know we're talking about remote. I bought them the accountant's version of QuickBooks because I wanted them to have batch enter, which is annoying that regular clients can't have batch enter. Because they use a third-party system for accounts payable. And in order to do her bank recs, all she needs are the checks. It's like check number, payee, amount, and a clearing account, right? And she'll do 50 checks in a check run. And she's been keying in date, check,
Oh, that's
for like
painful.
years. And finally, I'm like, I know we can get that check register out of that system and in Excel. So that was the hardest. So we installed the software, did the Q box, got everybody all happy. And then I said, show me your system. I found the report that I wanted. It only does a PDF. Oh my God. So then there's a custom report writer all afternoon. It was so not intuitive. Anyway, how I got that thing designed, I don't know. Pure grit. And
So you do know that Power Query will read a PDF now, right?
yeah, but that's just something else she doesn't own, you know?
Yeah, it's
So-
in Excel.
Huh?
In Excel. Power Query inside Excel will read a PDF.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what kind of Excel, but yeah, maybe. Okay. But anyway, so I just wanted her to be able to go get my check register, save it to Excel, cut and paste it and be done. And then right at like 5 till 5, I said, I'm ready. And she goes, well, I'm going home for the weekend. I'm like, it'll only take a minute. We opened up QuickBooks and we opened up the Excel, cut and paste. And there were like 2 or 3 vendors that weren't in her list already. She goes, you have got to be kidding me. So anyway.
Nice.
I'm sorry that took since March that she had to wait, but anyway, we're getting those old to-dos done.
Matthew,
Yeah.
you want to show us your setup?
Yeah, the transition from pre-COVID to current COVID has been, we still have our office space, but I'm the only person who really kind of goes into it at this point. Nobody else does. So,
A lot of overhead, huh?
yeah, you know, I mean, I'd like to see us being able to go back in, but I've got my home setup, which I figured I would try to share here for a second. How should I do this? Actually, it's gonna be smaller, huh? If you're only gonna see the smaller area, but my home setup is all green screened out.
Nice.
And then,
Oh wait, I was looking at the wrong screen.
Well, I had let Matthew speak. Talk, Matthew, so I can put you on speaker view and we can see better.
let me do audio this way.
Nice.
You can pin that video.
Right, that should be.
Uh-oh, we're down the rabbit hole.
You have to turn the sound off on one.
Yeah, no, now it should be better, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically I've got my 3 monitors set up here to where I can do multiple things all at the same time. I tell you what, it's actually got 4 because it's got the one back over there as well, which I use all the time. My lighting for video stuff I always do, microphone. So I've got this whole setup, and this is my little work corner, I guess you could say, in comparison to having the whole office. So it definitely feels a lot different than it did before, but hey, that's kind of what it is, right? So
It seems like a Mickey Mouse setup, if you ask me.
Oh, Mickey Mouse back there.
Yeah.
I was liking it.
If,
Wow.
if we all had the branding of Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
we'd be on the top of the world.
My mom painted that, actually.
Wow, that is so cool. That is very awesome. Nice. So you do have the setup. Now, you have the space, the availability, and no kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, the one drawback is literally I've got my bedroom and I come out, and my living room, I take a small little corner to do this.
Mhm.
So the drawback is clocking out gets harder.
Right, right. You're in your work living environment the
Yeah.
entire time. That's the one thing I do like about having a separate office is,
Yeah.
you know, once I walk in through the door, that's my cue. I'm
Can't turn
in
it off.
business mood.
Yeah.
It's like, do I do laundry or do I work?
Right.
or both.
Yeah, keep it on.
Yeah.
Mark's been going into the office a little bit more last couple of days. I know.
Well, one of the challenges that I am finding is businesses that I deal with and dealing it with their websites now. So instead of going into places, I'm going to their websites to do whatever I need to do. And that's fine if you're doing a general standard thing, like my bank, for example. I'll just use that as an example. I can do 95% of the things from my bank, but if you have a problem and you need to speak to somebody, that means calling a representative. That means waiting online for now about an hour. And it used to be only the IRS was the only place I had to call and have to really use my speakerphone and wait for an hour. Now it's many businesses that you're waiting that time, and having speakerphone helps. It allows you to be able to work on your computer, but you are still tied to your desk. What if you have to go to the bathroom? You know, you can't even really do that.
So is it a combination that they don't have the staff on their phone system, or they haven't come up with a phone system where their employees can work?
I think it's a combination of everything. It's people are out for COVID, so they don't have the staff to man their system. More people are doing what I'm doing and finding, oh, I really need to speak to someone. So there's more people calling in as opposed to going. So you've got the double whammy of the bigger volume and less people to handle the volume. So I had a week full of all of these tasks that I have that have been hanging out trying to get done. The reason why they've been put on hold is because I've had to call people. You can't call people more than 2 a day, or you're doing nothing but sitting on the phone. So yeah, that was my biggest challenge this week.
I finally got through to the Georgia Department of Revenue, the local office, and I'm like, is everybody back in the office? And they said, pretty much, we're supposed to be distancing all that, but she said, when you work together every day, she says, you forget. You know, you're supposed to not walk by each other and not get too close, and you just forget. And so anyway, we had this big conversation about that. So I probably kept her on the phone too long and somebody else had to wait.
This week, so another unexpected event that happened. Long time ago, I set up my gardeners to come on Saturdays because working from home, I didn't want it to be that I would be on a phone call or this or that or here or there, and all of a sudden have the gardeners come in. Apparently, they've decided they were going to change the schedule unannounced and do it exactly every Thursday, right about 2:45, which seems to be exactly right when we did a live stream for QB Community Live. So I'm sitting here, I start to hear them, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like, Linda, take over. Jump out real quick. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like,
I did.
And then the owner comes over. He's like, Mateo. He's like, this time I'm like, no, man, you can't just change it randomly on people. Like, at least schedule it up so I can like put it on my calendar and like book it out to where it's around something. But I'm sure all kinds
and whatever.
Every Thursday. It's on my window. I have a big plate window and I tape it up there because usually if they're going to come to the door of the office, they're going to walk by my window. But I had this up.
You're gonna show them the nasty email you sent?
Oh, the nasty email. But you know, and they had their earbuds on. They're not paying attention. They're weed whacking right under the window. And somebody was asking me a question that we can't hear you. And anyway, as soon as I turned that camera off, I was like, bah, 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 bah. I'm like, what the hell? And they never came back. I think I scared them so badly.
I don't have that problem with my gardener.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, my gardener will ask, but
it was fine for a while.
He lives here, so.
My neighbors, I don't really get along with them, and they are right there. They've got the hired help comes every day. First thing in the morning, they start at 7:45. They blow off the whole lawn. So they blow off all the yard, even if there's nothing there, because they blew it off at 5 o'clock the previous day, because they do it in the morning and in the afternoon.
Your neighbors
that-
are like that, huh?
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Why don't
That's
they
a
just give
southern
us a
thing, by
tree?
the way, y'all.
I guess they
That's a southern thing where you don't necessarily mow, they blow. They just blow the pine
Supposed
needles.
to blow everything on the lawn and then mow it because it picks it all up that way.
Well, they don't have much left to mow. I mean, they've landscaped everything. It's either rocked or concreted, or yeah, it's ridiculous.
The noise is a big issue, or dogs running in, or though I found that with the animals that where I used to be, try to be real professional and I wouldn't let the dog anywhere near the office and all that. Now that it seems like the rest of the world is Zooming and everybody knows everybody's animals things, I'm more apt to let, scroll TV.
Dave Kennedy's dogs were barking, his boxers were barking during his keynote.
Yeah. Oh, during the keynote. Yeah. Dave Kennedy was doing a keynote. He's a securities guy, and all of a sudden his boxers took off barking.
So
See,
we're
now
getting
it's not as
more,
embarrassing as it used
yes,
to be,
more
right?
patient with that kind of thing, more accepting,
More accepting. Yeah.
more accepting.
It doesn't happen too often, but you just have to like roll with it. I mean, I had another webinar I was on, and Sophie, like my guys barely ever bark, very, very seldom. And this one time, Sophie decided she was going to go for him, like, and it was right after somebody had said something, and like opinion-wise, like Sophie disagrees. Just like,
Just incorporate them into the conversation.
exactly.
That's
'Cause you can't hide
right,
it.
that's right, that's right.
Well, yeah, I was doing a live stream and one of my cats jumped full claw onto my shoulder. I'm like, well, what I'm saying must really be interesting. We've got the cats involved. So,
Amazing you didn't scream or jump off the ceiling.
unfortunately, it's a regular occurrence.
Our dog.
Sarah, I think you just froze for a moment.
The TV said. I did.
So what are we still seeing staying the same post-COVID? Do we see
I can give
changes?
you my opinion on it.
Go ahead.
For me, nothing's really changed that much, other than I have a good excuse not to meet people in person now, and either have them mail me the stuff or upload it to my portal. I see this is going to go on for a long time.
You think
At
it's going
least-
to go on for a long time?
At least
Mr.
at
Mike?
least a couple of years before things get back to, and I don't know if they'll ever get back to normal. I think that the change is going to be more obvious on the corporate level, where I think that head office departments are going to be a lot smaller. I mean, they'd have to retrofit the buildings to bring them up to code, and so I don't think companies will be willing to do that. I think that they will improve the internet security. I think that it's going to have ramifications for commercial real estate, for hospitality industry, for network people that set up networks and on servers in the office. I think that's going to go. I think people are going to not want to hire people come in. They'll just go with the web. So I think that it's going to be a transition from the internet or from the local servers to the SaaS software.
Cloud.
But I see
Much more so.
primarily in
Mhm.
it's going to impact, I think, like office furniture makers. I think it's going to impact, like desks. People make desks and office decor.
Right,
and
right,
I think
right.
it's going
For
to,
the physical offices like Matthew has now that's empty.
yeah. I mean, like up here in Seattle, REI, which is a big company, had just finished a new building and then basically sold it because they decided to have everybody work from home. All their head office people.
Wow.
So I think that there's going to be I think it's going to really impact the real estate market. I know that Matthew's had that kind of assessment, haven't you, Matthew?
Yeah, I think we're
We are yesterday.
pretty big shock with that.
Some guy that sells, he sells old,
Refurbished.
not necessarily refurbished, but resells office furniture. Used office furniture. There we go. And he was making a lot of those same points where now he's getting stuff, some companies are just giving it away because they're leaving their spaces, and they just like, well, we got to get this stuff out of here. Come and get it. So
Yeah. And the bigger ramifications, what's going to do to the banking industry? I mean, like when the
smell.
last recession where they can't get their rents, and so they can't pay their leases, and
Yeah.
it's just going to ripple through. And
Domino.
I don't know where it's going to end. And I'd feel a lot more comfortable if someone had a plan or had a semblance of a plan to deal with it. And it just seems like
Absolutely.
kind of flying blind. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Airplane where the steward is saying, well, keep calm. And, oh, by the way, does anybody here know how to fly an airplane? I remember that scene.
Yes. Yeah. So Matthew, will you be keeping your office?
Most likely not. It's actually it's been a point of conversation between my business partner and I that there's been a lot of time and effort that's gone into trying to get that place all put together.
I
And
know, and you have the most awesome conference room.
yeah, and so what am I going to do with all that stuff?
Those are sunk costs.
Video room.
Yeah.
I literally just got all the stuff for the video room all set up and ready to go. And, I respect everybody's decision about their comfort level about going back in or not. Personally, I feel fine going in. I don't foresee an issue with it. They've done some things like they put locks on the bathrooms just to ensure other people aren't using them, so forth. But I fully respect each person's decision of what to do there.
Sure.
And it would have been great to just, it's difficult because there's a lot of space. I go there because I need to be able to get out of my house. I will tell you that the stuff you're talking about and the fact it's supposed to extend longer, it scares me. I'm a pretty happy guy, and I'm having a harder time finding some of the happiness sometimes because I'm tired of this, and I'm tired of living alone and not having the interactive capabilities, because Zoom is great and I love this, but it's not the same thing.
No.
As you need to hug.
Well, yeah, and somebody asked me the other day if I am tired of being on Zoom as much as I am. I'm like, I was on Zoom this much before. So, I mean, that part hasn't changed for me at all. And speaking of,
Oh,
Groucho
there's your
decided,
cat.
Groucho decided to come and say hi.
Hey,
Good.
personality is different. I'm perfectly fine being all alone. Perfectly fine. Wouldn't bother. But you know what? After all these months, I'm getting restless. I'm like, you know what? At least I was, out once a week or something. So yesterday I had 2 doctor's appointments, and I called a client who they were just broke. They built a brand new building. This is a medical office. And it's hearing booths and things. So it's not like you can't build that office, right? So it's brand new. It's been open a couple weeks, and I really wanted to see it. And so I popped over there, and it was so nice. And then there was people that I talked to on the phone all these years, but we hadn't met. So I was like, don't tell anybody. I'm like, hi, I'm Sarah. But, it wasn't there very long. I got the quick tour and I got out, but I got in the car and I just wanted to cry because, those days are, far between. So.
Well, yeah, and I just found out, because I really like working from my home office because the other office is about 25 minutes away. But I just found out earlier this week that nobody's been there for 2 months.
Wow.
So well, yeah, and I mean, because the 2 people that were going in there, they've been with me long enough that I let them work from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, just, go in. We did go down from a bigger space to just a single office space because we don't have a suite or anything. It was individual offices that we had. So we went down to everybody just having one and storage in the basement, and nobody's been there now since I interviewed our last new hire. But I need to talk to the building owner and find out what we can do, because I don't want to keep paying.
It's all up to that lease. Yeah.
Well, and we have,
Because my last offices were over 3,000 square feet. You know, I had to pay for parking and electricity and had these big, gorgeous offices and 6 full-time people and, you know, and when I decided that was it, I was done and I downsized. Fortunately, there were a lot of problems with the building and my attorney got me out of the lease because they sued me for almost $400,000.
well, and I have a month-to-month lease because
Yeah, I'm
well,
not.
and
My
I
attorney
didn't,
did a beautiful job getting me out of that, or I wouldn't have been able to leave. So if I think about what if I were in that situation now?
I've got a 1 year left, 1 year left on my lease that like, I definitely understand the reason why we would want to move out of the place because I mean, if we're not able to use it and such, right? But I also have a feeling that as we get closer to that 1 year term being close to being over, the ability to renegotiate leases will be dramatically different. And I think, you know, they may be in a position that they're going to keep somebody in there. They may drop their pants on the pricing, and that may be enough to keep me there. But if not, I know that my business partner, he has no desire to like go into the office. But I'll get an office for myself. That'll be something close and local because I still believe we need that to meet with clients. I think
Would you do a co-op office kind of thing?
So I subleased at one point.
I was trying to set up the rest of our office as co-op, and we actually had somebody that was interested to kind of get it going, but my business partner just wasn't interested in doing that part. So I would get a smaller, there's a couple places honestly like right by my house that would be perfect for it, that it would still be get out of the house, go, nothing too big, but could have like my office set up that I need, and then still have somewhat of a small meeting table, if you will. So when people come over, if you've got 2 or 3 clients, whatever, come over, it's all about trying to create that environment that's inviting and engaging. The whole
And
reason,
private and secure.
yeah, you know, I want our clients to be able to feel comfortable that if they're across town and they need somewhere to come work out of, that they could come and work out of it. And we had people that were consistently doing it. So,
Well, look at the thing. Like I know at one point while I was building my offices, I had the offices at home, and I went to interview this man, a potential client, and my husband was at work, and my employees were gone, and the appointment started off, fine, and then it sort of turned. I was making little comments, and it hit me. Oh my God, I've got this strange man in my home. Okay.
yeah.
So, I never did that again. And, it's almost the same thing with going to see a client. You don't know where you're going, unless
That's right.
Relationship. So, that's important too. There's a safety factor when you have a home office that if you do need to vote, you've got to meet someplace neutral and safe.
And you keep their attention more. So the biggest thing is having the office that I do, when clients come to see me, I have their attention. If I go see them, at least 50% of the time is wasted waiting or lost attention.
The phone rings or somebody interrupts them or they're looking at
right.
Because they're in their environment. You want them in your environment. Yeah.
Because we want to be efficient with it, right? And we can't be mean the other way about it. But so that to me is one of the most important things.
Right.
They just tend to value your time more, especially when the relationship starts and you have a presentable environment to begin with, I think.
And it's more professional. It keeps a professional kind of attitude as opposed to a casual attitude also.
Right.
Well, my number one thing is security. And now that I have employees that are working out of their home, I feel like I've lost control. I've got 2-factor on things. They're on my equipment, not their own equipment. We had a big lightning storm come through again this week, and I was on a Zoom with one of my employees, and poof, she was gone. And I realized, does she have a battery pack? I didn't even think about it, and It's just one
Insurance.
after
What about
another.
insurance? Making sure your insurance is covering each of the different locations.
Yeah,
we're
right.
literally just getting quotes right now to find out if somebody like cybersecurity insurance are all locations named, just general liability wise. If somebody broke into my house and stole my computer, will that be covered for the business? And now we have to do it for every employee's location. Like, how does that stuff play out? Because it's going to have to change with insurance companies. Right now, usually it's like, oh, it follows you. Yeah, until the whole world goes COVID, right? And now all of a sudden they're going to like start finding loopholes to get out of it. So
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
fortunate that I have an IT husband who double encrypted our laptops. I mean, they're basically boat anchors if they're stolen, provided they're, logged out of the things. But, I think about some of these other small companies, I've got clients and everybody has laptops and they're going home. And I'm like, they don't have the IT to, it isn't just
So it's the security that Dennis was talking about has to change, has to be improved, has to be improved. Right. Right.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think if you go to the cloud, you can put that responsibility on somebody else. And I was reading an article
log
in
in,
the,
maybe. I don't know.
I was reading the article in the New York Times about how companies were moving back to the suburbs, and said that what's making it possible is that because of the speed of the internet now, we're trying to run a business on, slower speed modems isn't possible, but on high speed internet, it's a lot more feasible.
Right. Mark?
Yeah, so, there's means for example, in Azure AD or, 365, where you can set particular requirements for systems to be able to connect to your, to your information. So, if you're using, 365, you can say, oh, well, if it's not,
What, an improved device or something?
Yeah, if it's not registered and it doesn't have encryption, it doesn't, then it can't connect, and that kind of thing. So there are ways to do it with to help force that, where you're restricting that access to devices that meet your requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has to be on 365 in order to do that. Everybody has to have Microsoft.
That's one
There might be
platform.
others
Yeah.
too. So, but I'm just saying.
But we figured out yesterday, we were on a walk and we were talking about, I'm like, why didn't you see my email? He was explaining that on his phone, he has the Outlook app, and it could only, and because of the way his office organization is his phone has been approved for his office, but I'm a different organization. And he can't have two on the same device. See the problem? He's got to log in and log out. So yeah, that's coming. I mean, I'm sure that'll be.
That's a blessing and a curse both ways.
Yeah.
You're missing stuff at that point.
Yeah. So he has to actually make an effort to grab an iPad and then check the rest of his other emails.
This is less secure.
Because his company has pretty much said, no, Outlook on your cell phone belongs to us, because they need to be able to protect their data.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
He can control if you make attachments. He can control, you start thinking about how vulnerable your documents are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, we have gone over today. This was a really interesting conversation. We'll have to continue it, to be continued, as we learn how to live in the COVID land that we're living in.
Yay.
All righty, everyone. See you all same time, same place next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.